Wayne County talks taxes, questions about a regional water deal, another road funding plan, and Detroit dominates Mackinac. Stay put. MiWeek starts right now.
Recently, Michigan's economy has begun to turn around. Michigan's gained over 250,000 new jobs. We've paid off $20 billion in long-term debt. And our population is increasing for the first time in a decade. But to make Michigan a top 10 state, there's still plenty of work to be done. Step up and help put Michigan on top. Learn what you can do at MichiganTurnaroundPlan.com.
Funding is also provided by Delta.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us for MiWeek. I'm Christy McDonald. This week, everywhere you looked, it was all about the money. First up, Wayne County, a $52 million structural deficit. We know about that. The jail to nowhere, which costs over $1 million a month. We know about that, too. But now taxpayers could get the tab for a court-ordered judgment. Coming up, should the responsibility of paying money owed to the county retirement fund rest on property owners? We will tackle that question. Also coming up, major issues surrounding the lease of Detroit's water and sewerage system to a regional water authority, plus the legislature inching toward fixing Michigan's roads and landing a budget. And how is Detroit seen by those who live outside of the city and state? That's all coming up for you on MiWeek. But we do start in Wayne County, where taxpayers could be asked to foot the bill for $49 million owed to the Employee Pension Fund. The plan calls for a one-time property tax increase of 1.23 mils. However, many Wayne County commissioners oppose that idea. The county could also take money from its delinquent tax revolving fund, which is used to cover costs while delinquent taxes are being collected. Now, as we tape the show, an expected vote on the plan by the commissioners has not yet taken place, but that is where we begin our discussion with our MiWeek contributors, Nolan Finley of the Detroit News, Stephen Henderson of the Detroit Free Press. Gentlemen, it's always good to see you, but when I hear, hey, let's have the taxpayers foot yet another bill in Wayne County, I say, where is all the money going to come from? Nolan, let me start with you.
Well, it's their debt. I mean, that bill belongs to the taxpayers of Wayne County. You own your government, and you're responsible, by the way, when the people you elect screw up. And Bob Ficano screwed up badly on this when he was county executive, in betting that he could get away with not paying that 13th check. Now, the 13th check was ridiculous. It was one more union giveaway in Wayne County. And Bob Ficano was right that this was an abusive policy. But the Supreme Court said you owe it. You agreed to pay it. You'd been paying it. You owe it. And so when the county owes something, taxpayers owe something. And these commissioners who want to try to shirk that and get off pain free are doing what Wayne County politicians have always done, kicking the problem up the road, putting it off into the future for somebody else to pay. But ultimately, it belongs to the taxpayers. They're better off just paying it cleanly in one shot and getting this debt gone.
All right, so if you have a house that's worth $100,000, you're saying it would be about $62 that the taxpayer would have to pay. But Stephen, I'm thinking about
$62 a year.
$62 a year. But I'm thinking about all of the times that Wayne County's been trying to collect property tax anyway, and they're already having a problem getting the money from people.
Well, that's a great point. The delinquency, especially in the city of Detroit, is quite high, partially because taxes are so high. But Nolan's right. You know. The government decided to structure these pensions the way they did with that 13th check. Where were these commissioners who are so upset about paying it now when we were talking about the structure of pensions, when we were talking about the 13th check? These are all rules and regulations that government has control of. And we lost control in Wayne County a long time ago over these things. Started promising people things that were really great for them, and I would never suggest that people are shouldn't have healthy pensions or shouldn't have retiree health care, but you got to match that need with the resources that you have, and we have not done that in Wayne County. We've been promising things that we would never be able to afford, and now the bills do.
Well, why not take it from this revolving tax fund?
Well, because that's just another shift. That'll have to be repaid. That'll hurt the credit rating, so that if you do have to go out to bond, and you will, to finish the jail, your borrowing costs go way up. It's bad fiscal policy. But the voters of Wayne County have been going into the polls for decades and yanking the donkey's tail, putting in union puppets into positions in Wayne County. The UAW, AFL-CIO have run the county for decades, and this is the consequence. Elections have consequences, and Wayne County voters are finding out what those are, just as Inkster voters
So
are.
I don't fault the unions. Obviously, I mean the unions are there to advocate for their members and to advocate for a decent standard of living for people while they work and in retirement. There's nothing wrong with that. They didn't do anything wrong. What was the problem was that you had government go along with requests that we weren't going to be able to afford, or that we might have been able to afford if we had structured taxes differently and generated more revenue. But it doesn't make any sense to say, well, we'll pay you all this stuff, and then, you know, when it comes up, we don't have the money.
But Steve, in Wayne County, government and the unions have been one and the same thing. When I
But
first started
we elect
covering
that.
and that's what I'm saying. That's why we have to pay it. I covered Wayne County Commission years ago when you know, they would adjourn on a tough vote and go caucus in the corners. One group with the AFL-CIO, one group with the UAW to see how they should vote. I mean, the unions ran this county and they ran it into the ground.
Well, it's, you know, other places you see corporations and private interests with that kind of
I'll
influence.
put my money there.
That's, well, I mean, the idea of special interests controlling government is problematic. No, you won't get an argument out of me about that. I just don't see why the unions are any different from any other special interest. The point is government should be able to control and check those interests when what they're asking for is not in the interest of the people.
So are we looking at, bottom line, that this is just bad government all the way around in Wayne County? And how are people ever going to, how are people in Wayne County ever going to get out from underneath it then?
Well, one, you elect better politicians. I wasn't a big Warren Evans fan going in. I'm very impressed with sort of the gumption he's showing, the courage he's showing, standing up to the unions, putting in a real tough medicine plan in place, bringing Wayne County to the reality that you can't put this off anymore. You've got to fix these problems. His recovery plan is a decent plan. It acknowledges the fact that we're not going to get out of this overnight, and it takes a long view of it. Wayne County is 10 to 15 years getting out of this hole.
All right, last word on this, Stephen.
I think you need something more drastic. I think his plan is wonderful, but it counts on nothing going wrong. It counts on things going as he projects them. That's not going to happen. We're going to need something more dramatic to happen.
All right, and the commissioners are taking that vote later on this afternoon. You know, meantime, the deadline for an agreement on a regional water authority is just a little over a week away, but it still faces some major hurdles. Oakland County Executive L. Brooks Patterson says he is not yet sold on the deal, and Macomb County Executive Mark Hackel has been an outspoken critic of the closed-door negotiations. Plus, there's talk that Highland Park could be dissolved so that its huge water bill could be spread out among other customers. There's a lot of facets to this story. And Nolan, I'm going to start with you because Mark Hackel has been on a tear now since we've seen him up at Mackinac, angry about the closed-door meetings about this, and he was actually left out of a meeting this week.
And that's, and he's absolutely right. He's on a six-day rampage, and he has every right to be. And the story this week, I think, is that secret meeting and this ongoing gag order. A year ago, these folks signed a memorandum of understanding that created a government body, that created this Great Lakes Regional Water Authority to make the sort of decisions for implementing this agreement. And instead of allowing that authority to do its job, Sean Cox, federal judge, keeps pulling them into secret meetings to do it in the dark.
But he has the authority to do that.
He
He has the authority,
That
correct?
does not mean it's the right thing to do. A federal judge has broad authority, but that does not mean it's the right thing to do. This is a subversion of the democratic process. It really bumps up hard against the Open Meetings Act. You've got an appointed board that he charged, that this agreement charged with doing this kind of work.
Well, but it's
and
not
now
the board
every time
that's
they hit it,
meeting. It's not the board that's meeting. It's the executors of the
I understand that.
board.
It should be it's the appointees of
It's
the
the
board,
appointees,
but
right.
it should be the board that is working out this detail, and it should be done in the sunlight. These secret meetings where they go in and say, oh, no, that's not what they talked about. I mean, it gives them cover to lie. It gives them cover to not be accountable for their decisions. And at the end, they're going to spring it on their appointed board. They're going to spring it on the taxpayers and the county commissions and say, you got 2 days to sign this. I think Hackel is dead right that this should be done out in the open. There should be transparency, and this gag order is no longer relevant. It should be lifted.
Are you as irritated by this gag order as Nolan is?
I'm not. I mean, I think that when you're in federal court, you're trying to sort of negotiate through the outlines of governance. It's not that unusual that he's saying, look, don't be out talking about what we're talking about before we come up with a plan. That happens all the
They
time
came
in
up
federal
with a plan
court.
a year ago.
But the dimensions of that plan keep changing, and then my understanding is that that's what they're talking about,
But
is
that's
how will
what-
this work itself out?
But that's what this board was appointed to do. That's why it was appointed. And instead of
they
allowing
won't-
this
I
board to
think-
do its
yeah.
work, they're taking it into the judge's chamber whenever they hit a roadblock. I mean, you have to have some transparency in this process. This is a very important public resource that they're dealing with, and
I
people are
agree
going to be asked to make
that
a
I
decision
agree
on
with.
it. So Hackle is right. He's got a constituency that he has to answer
Well,
to.
he's also grandstanding. I mean, and
I don't
he's
think so.
also. I mean, he's also trying to make it clear that he doesn't think Macomb's going to come out much of a winner in this deal. He's probably right, and the truth is nobody is. You know, this is a big enough mess that the region has created over the last 30 years that everyone's going to have to swallow a bit of the bad part of this, and that means higher rates. That's going to mean going to mean loss of control for some jurisdictions. It's just what we got to do.
But Steve, that's why, because it's going to be so impactful, and because it's going to upset so many people and has the potential of really changing the way we get our water and how we pay for it and what have you, that's why it should be as transparent as absolutely possible, because people now, when it's done in secret, when it's done behind doors,
That'll be a
they
reason
feel like
that
they're in there screwing us, and boom, you know.
Let me ask this, though. What does this do in terms of the whole regional cooperation? Because this is a massive deal, and when you have such conflict between some of the major players here, what does this mean for, I guess, working together and going forward between Hackle, Patterson, Duggan, and Evans?
Well, I mean, I think there's no question there's some tensions and some new tensions that have come out in this process, but I think that was inevitable. I mean, you know,
Might have been intentional.
Or it might have been intentional, I suppose. You know, the truth is that for too long, suburban interests have talked about regional cooperation only when it doesn't conflict with their interests. Brooks Patterson has actually said that he's all for regional cooperation except when it doesn't benefit Oakland, which is exactly the opposite of the way that it's got
when it hurts Oakland. He said except when it hurts Oakland.
But sometimes
And that's a legitimate position.
Well, it's actually not. I mean, that's not a regional position. It's not a regional approach. The truth is, there are some things that have to be better, that will be better for the region, that may ask for a sacrifice or an inconvenience from one of the players.
But those players
region
are always the suburban players, and
that's not true.
That's
Detroit's
been
always
Brooks's
on the
point.
but Detroit's often on the short end of the stick, has been since the 60s, with federal policy and state policy that is designed to deplete the population and the economic resources here and shift them to the suburbs.
There's no reason regional cooperation has to mean either party gets short shrifted, and that's
Sometimes
what Brooks has
happens.
fought for over the years. Is let's make sure, and that's what they're fighting for in this water deal.
But this water deal is a good example.
Okay.
I mean, everybody is responsible for things being the way they are, right? Everyone is going to have to pay more. It's not necessarily in Oakland's interest or people in Oakland to do that. It's a sacrifice.
Then be upfront about that. Don't sign a memo. What they did a year ago, sign an MOU that said we're going to cap rates at 4%. That was bull.
They are capping them at 4%.
Now.
Okay, but they are capped at 4%. It's the local communities that add on to that 4%, and that's not the fault of the system.
Is not going to go at 4%. You can't do what needs to be done, and that's Hackle's point. Is let's just be truthful about the impact. They're changing this agreement on the fly.
They are changing,
and they're doing it behind closed doors. The appointed board has no clue what's going on. This is not how the democratic process should work.
Before we leave the water conversation, I want to touch briefly on Highland Park and the reports that were floated out there, the potential of dissolving the city because of how much they owe about the water department.
Yeah.
What do you know about that?
Well, I mean, I don't see how that works. A federal judge does not have the authority to dissolve a municipality under the Michigan Constitution. There's just no mechanism for that to happen. In fact, the state of Michigan doesn't really have much of a mechanism to dissolve a municipality. The question would be, where do these people go? The people who live in Highland Park, would they just become citizens of Detroit? Detroit would have some say in that. I mean, I think that's a threat that's out there to try to move some parties off of the position that they're in. But I don't think it's a very realistic option.
All right, last word on this, Nolan.
I don't know that it's a realistic option or an option they're wed to, but I know it was floated and put on the table probably as a means of moving Hackle and Patterson toward an agreement to show them that there's no way to get out from under this $25 million Highland Park debt, but that debt remains the sticking point, and that's what that meeting was about Monday, despite what they came out and said publicly.
All right, we'll keep watching. Turning now to the state, the debate continues over funding for road and bridge repairs. A House committee approved a Republican-sponsored proposal that would eventually allocate more than $1 billion a year toward fixing Michigan's roads. Now, some of the money would be shifted from the general fund and the economic development programs. Funding would also come from the elimination of the earned income tax credit for low-income working families. And I know, Nolan, road funding is your favorite topic, so that's why I wanted to bring it up on the show this week. But it keeps inching along. But I think we're starting. Are you starting to feel that lawmakers are starting to get some heat for the decisions that they're making to cut back on some of the money from the MEDC and especially the earned income tax credit?
Yeah, I mean, that was the intent. That's part of the strategy, to let these House members get beat up really good over all of these, the unintended consequences of their cuts and of their decision. Let them see the holes in their plan, let it get shot all to heck, and then sometime in the next few weeks, the Senate will come up with a more realistic plan that the governor will probably side with, and maybe we'll get something done.
Would a more realistic plan, Stephen, include pushback on the cutting of the earned income tax credit?
I think it has to. I think it's an outrageous part of this proposal. The idea that a tax hike on the poorest people in the state is the right way to deal with this when we keep talking about the need to not burden business or not burden rich people. I mean, the whole discussion here is headed in the wrong direction. And I think you need the governor to stand up and say, no, we're not going there.
The House is looking at being slapped with responsibility for this going into the 2016 elections. If people are here this time next year with no viable road fix, no plan, roads still deteriorating, the House Republicans are going to get the heck beat out of them and may lose the majority. There's also this idea being floated by some Democrats, this disastrous idea to go to a graduated income tax and use that money to fix the roads. And I think because
34 other states do it?
It would forfeit one of the few advantages tax-wise this state has, and that's a flat income tax that has worked well for us for years.
It actually doesn't work well. It actually leaves about $700 million a year on the table.
You look in the states that have these graduated income tax,
Maryland, Massachusetts, New York,
first
California.
Places they go, and they're driving businesses out of the state.
No, they're not.
California
they're doing
is now
better than we
11-12% state income tax. It would be a disaster, and their House is facing this threat now. I think the House will end up coming along by the end of the summer to a plan that raises fuel taxes and implements about $300-400 million in real spending cuts.
All right. In the good news, they got a budget, right?
Sort of.
That's not good news.
Kind of good
What's
news?
good news about that? They got a budget without coming up with a comprehensive road fix.
Yeah.
He should not
have
have
signed. They get no credit for that this year.
They don't get credit for that this year?
And he should have backed off his obsession with getting a budget done in June and held them there and said, we're not going anywhere till you give me a road plan.
Well, I think we should also take a look at the legislature giving themselves a $4.5 million increase for costs for the legislative staff and other operations in the budget. I love that, that point. All right, moving on. And finally tonight, the 2015 Mackinac Policy Conference is history, but the conversations that took place on the island are continuing, and one of the biggest topics of discussion was Detroit's future. I talked with the heads of the Detroit Regional Chamber and the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation about how the city is being perceived.
So there's a lot of capital circling the city right now, and it is beginning to land, and you're starting to see investments from outside of Michigan coming into Detroit, and that's huge because the accelerating of Detroit's economy over the last 5 to 6 years has been what I call friends and family money. It's been Detroit money, it's been Michigan money. People who know us well, who see the opportunity, are ready to invest. We're really not going to get to that next level of economic growth, that next rung of the economic ladder in the city of Detroit until we have outside investment, Chicago money, Shanghai money, coming into the city in a significant way. We're starting to see that money land now.
All right, so you're starting to see some of that money. You're talking to some of those people, Roderick?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is probably more excitement than there's been in the last few decades around the investment opportunity in Detroit. The transition that we're making as an economy is that investment is not just money that comes in and sits, but it's investment that comes in and it's active and it's tied to kind of our economic development strategy. So the conversation now is not about just coming to Detroit and investing in Detroit, but how do we actually leverage that investment, point that investment in a way that gives us real catalytic projects and real catalytic opportunities in the city.
Sandy, what are the questions that people ask you about Detroit? What are the questions now, and how do they compare to those questions that you got maybe even just 2 years ago?
So 2 years ago was, are you really going to solve your problems? Bankruptcy, emergency management, and coming out of that, those questions have now pretty much answered. Okay, you are serious about solving your problems. So that's one check mark. The check mark that we're trying to check off now is how sustainable is the recovery? How well are we going to manage going forward? So we've done this incredible heavy lifting. The corporate community, the philanthropic community, the political community, everyone's been aligned in the interest of Detroit. Now they want to know, can we manage going forward? Can we manage the city budget going forward? Can we attract businesses and keep businesses? Can we fix our educational system? If we can answer those questions in relatively short order, then I think the investment will come, because we're primed for that kind of growth.
All right, so Roderick, then what are some of the things that might be holding back a company from taking that last initial jump in?
Well, you know, to follow on to Sandy's point about the things that will sustain it, it's really about the question of, okay, good governance. One is companies and people want to go somewhere where they have confidence in government, that government's going to provide the services and support that they say they can provide. And so there's a rising level of confidence there. Population stabilization is also going to be vitally important to the long-term fiscal stability of the city. So even coming out of the bankruptcy, we've got to start to grow population, or at a minimum, stabilize population and get incomes up in the city. Some of the things that we have to continue to confront, of course, are the education system. That's vitally important. Reinvesting in infrastructure is vitally important. Ensuring that dealing with issues of crime, those things are really, really important. But I will tell you that as we get more population in the city, as city government continues to make smart investments around lights and streets and those kinds of things, I'm not so worried about those things, because we're on the right path.
All right, so would you agree that Detroit is on track for an increase in population and investment? What was your vibe that you got coming out of the conference?
I think
Detroit.
An increase of population in certain places. I think overall they still got a lot of work to do to reverse the slide in the neighborhoods. You're asking a lot of people to stay and say, you know, I'll wait 5 years. I mean, a lot of folks just can't do it. They've got to get out, particularly with the school situation. There is a certain urgency that has to happen in the neighborhoods. I think downtown will continue to add population in Midtown, and you're going to see some of the near neighborhoods fill in, some of the better neighborhoods in Detroit fill in. So I think the population gains will be sporadic. Overall, I don't see population increasing for a while.
What are your thoughts?
I don't think we'll increase the population. Most cities that have had these kinds of revitalizations or gentrifications or whatever you want to call it have not been able to turn around the population slide so much as they are able to attract new people who have higher incomes and pay more taxes. And so you're able to balance the books in some of these places a little better with fewer people and not rely on population. I think the question in Detroit still is, how do we attract more people than we are, and how do we make that as diverse and inclusive as possible? But the idea of increasing the overall population, I think, is still something of a pipe dream, although the mayor says at the end of his first term that's how he wants to be judged, whether the population going up or down. I think that's a very dangerous thing to hinge it on, but he's sticking by it.
All right, we'll have to take a look at the numbers on that. Thanks, guys. It's always good to see you. And that is going to do it for My Week. We're so glad that you joined us. We'd like to hear what you think about the show, so find us on Facebook and on Twitter. Plus, head to MiWeek.org right now for a conversation that you won't see on TV. I'm Christy McDonald. Have a great night, and we will see you next time. Take care.